Hi, welcome to the Bathtub, where when you hear this iconic theme song, and we stop it really quick because I'm sure I'm going to get sued for doing that. You can't come up here because Lucky wants to come up, but she's so crazy. Come on, you want to say hi? Come on, come on. Come up. Okay, say hi without attacking me. Say without attacking me. Oh, a special episode. We got the dog is up here. Okay, you want to get down now? No snarling, no attacking me because I couldn't say up there. It's okay. You did good. Here, that's good. She still has her aggressions. Anyway, this is a long way of preamble to. Actually, I can get this book now. She can't attack me. You know you're living the dream when you're worried about your little tiny dog attacking you. Oh my darling, you just have problems. And this is what are we going to do here today? This is going to be called Desert Island Bathtub. I am the master bather. I'm known in China as Pao Zhao Jiao Shou. I used to be known as Pao Zhao Jiao Shou, foamy bathtub professor. But in recent weeks, they've been referring to me as that tariff-levying Yankee bastard, which I answer to anything. I answer to pretty much anything you call me. I reply. I'm not picky, but I much prefer being called the esteemed foamy bathtub professor. Anyway, we're tariff-free. This is the tariff-free episode. We're not charging you anything. We charge you nothing anyway, but very soon we're going to have to levy 135% on top of the zero that we charge you, just to be able to pass this exciting video internationally. What are we doing here? It's called Desert Island Bathtub. I mean, I don't know about you, but many people I know, and I'm the main person I know, are thinking a lot about going to live on a desert island, and or a bunker, whatever lifts your sails. And what I was thinking we'd do just for fun, because it's pointless exercise. This show is designed to do pointless exercises. Is we do an island bathtub episode. I'm going to do two. One's going to be the Reader Cheater episode. So, there's Desert Island discs. There's what books would I take? My 10 books I would take on my fantasy island if I had to go live somewhere forever. And I'm going to do two. One's a Reader Cheater. One is the one where, we sort of think, well, what 10 books could I put on the island which would cover lots of other stuff? For example, one of the books I would put on my desert island would be the complete poems of Emily Dickinson. Okay, I'm kind of cheating a bit because it's like a big book. It's got all her life work, for example, and another one would be, and I would put this. That would be one of my books on my desert island, the stories of F. Scott Fitzgerald. So it's not really an individual volume. It's just like a lot of stories by him. And I might use that as a way of cheating, getting extra stuff onto the island. The most obvious ones would be things like this. Here's another book I'd take with me if I was doing the Reader Cheater Desert Island. I would take the complete Borges. I like Borges. He's not one of my top favorite all-time writers, but I think a big volume of all his stories, which are so kind of perplexing and complicated, they could bear many rereadings. And this is quite a cool volume, and it would have all his stories. So that's a kind of a cheating. Here's a real cheater. This is the type of cheating I'm talking about. I would take the Portis, not a single volume of Charles Portis. If I was going to take a single volume, I would probably take Masters of Atlantis. But if I'm doing my island cheat, I would take the Library of America because it has all his novels and his short stories and a play he wrote and all sorts of stuff. So that'd be my kind of cheating version. Here's another good one. James Merrill. I don't think we've talked a lot about James Merrill, but I do love his poetry. And if I could only take 10 books to an island and I needed to have some poetry with me, well, I'd like Dickinson I could sort of reread for a long period of time. And I don't know a lot of Merrill's poetry. Everything I read of his, I've always loved Merrill's writing and his poems. And this has all his individual volumes, including and collected volumes. It has everything in it except Changing Light at Sandover, which we talked a bit about. Anyway, that would go on my desert island stack. That's 5 right there. Now, here's the obvious cheats. This is the cheats that almost everybody do, and I'm going to do it too because I'm going to cheat. I would take my 3 college textbooks, the John Milton's Complete Poems in Major Prose, all that stuff that's in there. It's got all my notes. I would want this volume. I could spend a good 10 years on a desert island with these 10 books, and I could always go back and reread. I've always wanted to reread a lot of Milton. I would do that with my graduate school edition of Chaucer. Chaucer I haven't read a lot since I was a kid, or when I was young, and I would definitely want to take that. And I would take the Shakespeare. I'm not a big I like Shakespeare. I kind of like him a little more as I get older. I can live without going to see Shakespeare, but if I'm going to be a desert island for the rest of my days, that's a good time to read a lot of Shakespeare. Okay, so that's 9 volumes and 8 volumes. Here's another cheater, Library of America, O'Connor, because I take this volume and I get all these. I get all her stories. I get Wise Blood. I get the Violent Bear It Away. I get her essays and letters. I get a whole huge stack of stuff of hers, and I could spend many years reading and rereading her. And I always loved Flannery O'Connor. And finally, I would probably take a pension with me. My first choice would not be Against the Day, but I would take it to my desert island cheat sheet because it's so huge. I don't remember a boring sentence in it when I read it. This is how we started this stupid Bathtub show. If you remember back in the 30s, several decades before the book was written, we started off talking about reading the ending of Against the Day. And it's such a big book. It's such a marvelous book. And that reminds me, I've left one out. We're going to go over. We did it again. Our top 10 books tend to be 11. The other one I would put in there. Oh, no, I take that back. I wouldn't put that in there. These are my big cheater sheets. Okay, so now I'm going to stop. And that's like my top 10 for going on the island. And I can take big fat books, and I'm trying to get as much onto the island as I can. Now I'm going to try to do a more fair version, which is just 10 individual volumes I would take with me. And if I could only just take individual books, I would probably take J.R. by William Gaddis. We've talked about this. It's an individual novel, which I love, and which is very funny. It's very long, it's very complicated, but it's not a monumental, gigantic, fat book like Against the Day. Here's the other ones. If I was taking my 10 individual volumes, I would take Pynchon's Vineland. I'm getting a lot of people commenting on my old Vineland talks. Vineland's probably the one book of his I love the most, and which moves me the most, and seems to have written about what horrible things happened to our country. Not just lately, but in the age of Reagan. And I think I would put that in. We like sci-fi here. We like science fiction here. We're not supposed to say sci-fi, but my friend Gus used to like to say sci-fi to annoy people. Science fiction. I don't know. I can't think of an individual science fiction novel I would take. There's a lot of them I love. But I would probably take this volume. It's slightly a cheat. It's called Famous Science Fiction Stories, Adventures in Space and Time and Space, edited by McComas and Healy. It's a book I got when I was in high school. It was given to me for Christmas. And it's 40s and 50s science fiction, which I don't know and like as much as I like the later stuff. But it's kind of a cool volume, and everything I've read in it is good. And that would be a good time on a desert island to have that book with me. I can't imagine taking a single Simenon. We love Simenon. I'd like to take all of my Simenon to the island. But if I was to pick one book of his that I could really enjoy for many, many years, I really enjoyed his intimate memoirs. I read this about 10, 15 years ago when I wrote a piece about Simenon. And it's a big, fat book. It's not supposed to be as forthcoming as he pretends to be, I guess. No one is. But I thought the way he wrote about his life and the way he wrote about writing his books and being a father and being a kind of a endless womanizer it's kind of a fascinating picture of the man, which I found almost as interesting as his characters, if not more so. This is another cheater. I guess these are all cheaters. Portable Oscar Wilde. If I had to take one book out of here, I would take The Picture of Dorian Gray, I guess. But I'd like to take this one because I love the essays and Picture of Dorian Gray and some of the short stories. My individual favorite novels, and we've already talked about this, I would bring the actual first edition I have of Revolutionary Road. This is a book I would just kind of like to have with me. I don't even know if I need to read it anymore. It's the one I got signed by Richard Yates when I interviewed him in the early 90s, just before he died. and it's one of my all-time favorite books. And just to kind of have it on the island with me, while I know the world outside, off the island is going to hell, would make me happy. Tom Dish. I would like a few books just by people who I love personally and like just people. And I was trying to think which one I would take. He wrote so many cool novels and short stories, but I really enjoyed the last published volume of his poems, Tom Dish, About the Size of It, from Anvil Press. I only read it once, and I loved it, and I would really like to have that on my desert island. That's kind of a personal choice, and it's got a letter in it from Tom. I think it's one of his Christmas poems. He sent me he would send Christmas poems. He's the one that gave me the idea of doing Christmas books every so often. And I would take that with the letter in it. Remind me of my old friend Tom. James Merrill. I'm a big fan of James Merrill. I don't know. I can't really say why. I just really enjoy reading him. I loved A Changing Light at Sandover, especially the first book. I think the first book is called The Book of Ephraim. The Book of Ephraim. It's about him and his partner doing seances and talking to all these theosophical spirits. Sounds completely wacky, but it's a really fun book. It's very funny. I think some beautiful poetry in it, and I do think the first book is the best, but it would be a cool book to have with me on my island. Finally, one last novel. Again, these are total cheats. These are all ridiculous choices, but I would take Madame Bovary. I can reread Madame Bovary a lot of times, and I'll never stop loving Madame Bovary. I like that poor girl, and I identify with her, and I think she was a great person. I think she was a failed, flawed human being who had great passion in her, and I've always loved that character. Okay, that's my choices. So that was you get your cheater edition, which is where you bring all of Milton with you. I mean, otherwise you just bring Paradise Lost, and I would just rather have that one. And then these are my 10 individual volumes if I was on that desert island, where we may all go. We may all be there. We may run into each other really soon. Stay safe. Don't read the newspapers too closely. Pure mountain spring water. No alcohol has been harmed in the production of this pointless video. Stay safe. Stupid me. So I only gave you 7 of the 10 books I would take to my desert island. I'm going to actually edit 2 of these pointless films together because I'm so good now. Here's 3 other books I would take with me on that desert island. Just individual volumes. They're big, but they're not cheaters like the others, like a collection of all of Dickens or anything like that. David Copperfield would definitely go with me. My 10 favorite books. Tom Jones. Henry Fielding's hilarious Tom Jones. I'm getting ready to read that again soon. That would be fun on the island. I would like to bring some history. So if I was doing the cheater thing, I might bring the entire Gibbon rise and fall of the Roman Empire. I would like to have at least a couple volumes of history if I could fit them in. On the top of my head, my favorite historical work is Thucydides' Peloponnesian War. I read this in college. It was one of the few books they made me read in college, and I really had a great time reading it. I've always wanted to reread it. The desert island would be a great place to read about the incredible stupidity of way history rolls out around us. And I would probably take, if I had one choice for one historical work, it would be Thucydides' The Peloponnesian War. Available at your local bookstore now. Okay, bye.